We've got people that call our treats cricket crack because their dog loves it that much.
And I want a good show, damn it. Ready for a good show?
Doing awesome, yeah. I'm excited to talk to you, Angie. Thank you for having me.
Yes!
I've always been doing big into archery, and my dad said, hey, you guys want to start an archery store?
That's how I was.
Andrew, yes, of course, let's do this together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Show. As usual, I am your host, Andrew Maff, and today I am joined by the amazing Anne Carlson, who is the founder and CEO over at Jiminy's. Anne, how you doing? You ready for a good show?
I am so ready. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited. I love talking about dogs and pets, and I have been basically in the pet industry for I don't even know how many years at this point. So it's always fun to talk to someone who's in the same industry and learn about your side of things. But I don't want to be the one to spoil it. I always like to let you do that. So let's do the stereotypical. And if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about yourself and obviously how you got started with Jiminy's.
Sure. Well, I'm Anne Carlson, the founder and CEO of Jiminy's, and I'm obsessed with helping dogs live longer, healthier lives on a greener planet. So at Jiminy's, we make sustainable dog food. What makes it sustainable is instead of your traditional beef or chicken, we're using insect protein. And the insect protein is not only incredibly sustainable, but it also provides tremendous health benefits for our dogs. Things like the help with for dogs with allergies, gut health issues, immunity, oral health is one of the newest things that we've been able to actually prove through the studies. So it's super exciting. And I'm loving life because I love working with the dogs.
Great. What gave you this idea? I know that the concept of using obviously hence the name Jiminy, so like crickets and as like a protein replacement for things like chicken, etc., has been a thing even for humans. What gave you the idea to implement it for the dog side of things?
Well, I come from out of the industry. So I was working for one of the big pet food companies. Mm-hmm. And actually, what made me start thinking differently is sort of a combination of things. But really, it was a conversation with my daughter where she told me that she didn't want to have kids. And she was worried about what the world was going to be like by the time they grew up. She was talking about climate change. And as we were talking, I realized I had to do something. Building a better future for her was everything. So I started to take a look at what could I do and what kind of impact could I have given my background. And a UCLA study had just come out that said 30% of the environmental impact of meat consumption in the US is due to our dogs and cats. So I started thinking about it, huge, right?
Yeah.
So I started thinking about, well, how could I come up with something that would use a protein source that was less resource intensive, something more sustainable. And as I was looking around, I saw the UN study that said insects could be the answer to world hunger. So I went online, I found some dry roasted crickets, I ordered them and said, let's see if the dogs like them. And I fed them to my dogs. They started drooling, following me around. I knew we had something.
Wow. So when it comes to dog food, it is a painfully crowded market. There is, I don't even know how many different types of dog foods are out there. How do you kind of, the differentiator is clear, right? But the obvious is also that there's just so many that you still have to have that kind of like thing. So are we getting?
I think we're getting a visitor. So let me answer your question in a sec, but let me.
Okay, so if you are adorable. So if anyone is solely listening, now you got to go to our YouTube and see the new puppy. So you mentioned before the show, this is a Great Dane and Lab mix.
Yes, he came from an
man.
oops litter. And it looks like he just woke up. But you can see these giant paws.
He's going to be a big boy.
He's got crazy looking ears. He's sweet as can be. Yeah. So this
What's
is my
his
new baby.
He's a kisser. What's his name?
He's a kisser. His name's Hopper.
Hopper.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, he's adorable.
So this is Hopper and
new mascot.
Yeah.
From his nap.
You gotta love that, right? Okay, Hopper, you can't stay though. I'm sorry.
It's awesome.
So I'm gonna let Hopper go.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
He's gonna be huge. Where mine's asleep. So maybe if he wakes up, I'll bring him over. This is just what he does all day. Watches me work so that I can feed him. Speaking of.
Yeah, I had a movement tracker on one of my dogs one time, and it was hysterical. The dog at the time was Derby. Derby slept for 10 hours. Derby got up for 5 minutes. I'm assuming to go outside. Derby slept for another 3 hours straight. It was just like sleep, sleep, sleep.
Hard great. Life.
Yeah.
What?
So I'm sorry. What was
by the cuteness. Oh, the crowded market, food, pet food, painfully crowded market. Obviously, you have a clear differentiator, but it's still a matter of getting through that noise and getting people to even be interested in that and understanding why the differentiator matters. So, what's your approach there?
Well, it's interesting. It's changed. So when we first started, we led with the sustainability messaging. And we thought that was really what was going to be the thing that would get through to people. What we're finding, though, is that while people love the sustainability messaging, the dog's health is what is leading the decisions here. So with all of these new studies that have come out that are proving out the benefits, we're leaning into our benefit areas. For instance, the allergy relief is amazing. And we have many case studies where we're able to take dogs that are on Apoquel, which is a very expensive medication for dogs with allergies, put them on our dog food, and they can come off of the Apoquel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's
really?
Amazing.
I have a corgi with allergy problems, so I am all ears right now.
Well, skin and coat issues have increased by 30% in the last 5 years. And one of the natural benefits of the insect protein is that it has medium chain fatty acids and they improve the moisture in the dog's skin. So it's helping with dogs that have the skin issues, but it also helps with just standard allergies as well, food allergies in particular.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about so that also opens up all the other issues that pets can have, right? So weight issues or for Goldens, I know I got to start looking out for joint issues and things like that. Yep. Does your line, have you ventured into that yet?
Well, it naturally addresses almost all of these problems. Allergy relief, I just talked about. Gut health, because the insect protein naturally has chitin. It's a fiber that is prebiotic for the dogs. So it helps with, dogs that have issues with chronic diarrhea, loose stool, and even gas. Those are kind of the funnier case studies that we get.
Going to make him listen to this episode now.
Oral health is another area that just got proved out. The insect protein is improving the dog's oral microbiome, reducing the bad bacteria in the mouth, increasing the good, and reducing breath odor. And then weight management is a new area that we're starting to see. And you mentioned joint health. The insect protein is also a natural source of glucosamine.
Wow.
So it's crazy. So it's a protein alternative that is a perfect protein alternative for anything like any of your traditional beef, chicken. It has all of the amino acids that the dog needs in the right quantities, and it's digestible, but then it goes beyond with all these other benefit areas.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the business in itself, right? Yep. So we talked about the positioning here. Where are you currently selling it? Obviously, I know you have your own website. Anywhere else?
Yes, Omni-Channel. So we're in independent pet stores. We're working with pet stores like Pet Food Express, Mud Bay, All the Best. These are like mid-sized chains where the people that work in the stores actually get trained and are able to help with the awareness generation and education of the consumers.
Yeah.
And then we're on, Amazon, Chewy, our own website, which we try to make it easy for the consumer to be able to find the products.
Yeah. What's your approach with that? Are you leaning heavier on marketplace? Are you leaning heavier on the website, retail, or is there just kind of a wherever?
So most of our marketing efforts are in the direct to consumer space and leading them back to our website. However, there's spillover into Chewy and into Amazon. But at what we're doing online helps in the stores as well. And then we also have this training effort that we've done with the people that work in the stores. And we started out doing that one-on-one, but we now have this great system that has, it uses video to teach the people about the brand and the products. And I love it because we're able to get to more and more of the people that work out in the stores this way.
Interesting. So with dog food, it's obviously it's not a light product. So when you're heavily leaning into D2C, you run into expenses around shipping and things like that. Going through Chewy, it's a different story because I know that they'll order it and all that fun stuff. But like, how's that approach from like an operational standpoint? How do you handle that?
Yeah, it's challenging. We work with 3PL to get it where it needs to go. And it is a challenge because shipping has gotten more and more expensive over the years.
Yeah.
However, selling it through our website is the most profitable for us, and we're able to manage the cost pretty well. Amazon is another thing. It's, you kind of have to go with what they do.
Yeah.
But it is what it is at a certain point. We got to get it to the consumer, and that means we got to ship it there.
Yeah. Do you position it as more of like a premium replacement or just a replacement of kind of your standard dog food?
Yeah, it is premium. But it's on par with anything else that you would find in an independent pet store.
Yeah.
Over time, though, we do believe we're going to be able to bring the price down on the food. We already did it once on our Craven Cricket, and what gives us hope there is the insect protein. It actually has a better feed conversion ratio. So raising crickets uses less resources than raising other types of proteins. So the feed conversion ratio is how much you have to feed them to get protein out the other side.
Yeah.
It has a better feed conversion ratio, but then also the way that they're being raised is pretty exciting. Our newest partner is InnovaFeed, and they're working with ADM. And what they've done is they've put the insect farm right in the middle of a whole bunch of other facilities where they're processing grains and different vegetables. And they put a pipe that goes directly into the insect farm. So they don't even have to dry and ship the feed to the insects. It comes through a pipe in wet form. So it actually reduces the amount of energy to feed them and cost. Yeah. So very exciting.
Huh. Yeah, I would imagine especially as the concept starts to grow, even on the human side. Because I know that like every now and then you can come across like a snack in like a Whole Foods or something, but it's been a slow trend of people starting to kind of try out those types of things. And I would imagine that's where you'll start to see those costs come down too. Am I right?
I think that, and also with some of the insects, they're feeding them to other types of animals. So they're using it for aquaculture, for instance, and that'll help bring it down as well.
Yeah, no, that's true.
The human side is just a slower, it's a slower path. The Western diet, people are not used to the idea of insect protein. Yeah. However, I think some of these benefits that I was talking about will translate over to the humans. And as we're able to prove out more and more around weight management, I think that's the one that's really going to be the kicker for humans.
Yeah, that'll get them.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I guess, then what about from a marketing side? Like what's like the main channels you stay focused on? What's kind of the messaging there? I know you mentioned originally it was the sustainability side, but you kind of pivoted that as well, right?
We have. I mean, we still talk about that. Don't get me wrong. But I would say, it's more, but I would 80-20, talking more about the health benefits, and then 20% of the time, oh yeah, let me also tell you about the sustainability. We try to go where the consumer's attention is. So TikTok has become important to us.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because it's a different type of medium. You have to think about the hook, and you have to think about like how you can get somebody to stay and listen.
Yeah.
But I would say, we're using other, social media platforms as well.
As I say, I know you've got tens of thousands of followers on both like Facebook and Instagram and the usual ones. And then obviously TikTok's always the one that's like, okay, here we go. Let's try this channel. Are you advertising on any of them, or is it solely from an organic approach right now?
We are. But we start with organic, and we test it, any kind of messaging that we're doing in organic, to see how it is working with the consumers. And then when we have something that seems to be resonating, that's where we'll put some dollars behind it.
Mm-hmm. Have you ventured into the influencer side of things, especially on like TikTok with TikTok Shop and all that? Have you gotten into that area?
Yes, absolutely. And actually, we've been doing that for a long time. Our influencers, we call them our Chirpers, and they're our brand ambassadors. Yeah, they're amazing. And most of them are people who started just feeding their dogs either the food or the treats, and told us they loved it. And then we recruited them to be Chirpers.
Wow. That's very interesting. I like that you gave them a name. That makes it very, very, very intimate. You had mentioned about, kind of the omni-channel approach, which is like music to my ears. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. And you sound like you're crushing it in terms of like being everywhere that your consumer is. From a marketing perspective, do you kind of venture into that omni-channel approach as well? Like with brands, I know sometimes if, maybe through a product launch strategy or something, they will look at driving traffic directly to something like an Amazon or a Chewy. Do you venture into that, or do you keep everything focused on the D2C site?
No, we do. So we will, when we launch at a new store, for instance, we'll ask our Chirpers, do any of you guys live near there? And we'll ask one of them to go in and visit the store, record it, and that becomes content as well. And then we'll geofence what we're doing as far as, promoting that to let people know that the product is in those stores now.
Yeah.
So we like to do that. We do annual planning with our bigger retailers that we work with. And so we're working together on, these are the things that we're going to do together to promote the brand. Even things like sampling in the stores. Our products are so palatable. I just want to get it in the dog's mouth because the owner get excited, right?
Yeah.
We've got people that call our treats cricket crack because their dog loves it that much. Yeah. So get it in their mouths.
Yeah. That was a good point. It's not just food, obviously. I know you got treats, you have the dental chews as well. What's the thought in terms of how you expand the product line?
Actually, the way I think about it is I think about the person's day, and you're going through your day with your dog, and where are the moments where you need either a food or a treat to play a role. So we've got our training treats that play that training moment. The food, that there's feeding moments several times throughout the day. I feed my dogs 3 times. Most people are 2. The dental chew is brushing your teeth at the end of the day. And it's a 1-a-day kind of thing. And it's an amazing product, I got to say. And it's important too. 73% of dogs in the US have dental issues. And if you don't address it, it can take 2 years off their life. So
wow, really?
Yeah. Oh, It's important. It leads to chronic kidney issues, infection of the heart valve. There's a lot of ramifications if you don't pay attention to your dog's mouth.
Wow.
Yep.
You'd mentioned, things that you do with your bigger retailers, and then obviously you have the more like medium-sized franchises. Where are you finding them? I know obviously in the pet industry, Super Zoo tends to be the big conference, but are you also leveraging like a distributor, or are you using something like Fair? Like, how's that approach in terms of finding them?
Yes and yes. And yes.
All the above.
Yeah. We've been traditionally going to Super Zoo and Global, which are the two big trade shows. We meet a lot of people there. However, it is interesting to see. I think it's changing a bit. And so now it feels like we're seeing people that we're already working with and just strengthening the relationship.
Yeah.
Fair is a nice place for smaller retailers to be able to find us and access the product. Mm-hmm. And then, yes, we do use distributors to get to those smaller retailers. It's one of the ways, talking about like the weight of the product, the distributor gets it that last mile into those retailers. So that's helpful.
Yeah. This was awesome. Anne, I really appreciate having you on the show. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're super busy, and you have a new puppy that you have to take care of. Very thankful for having you on the show. Obviously, I'd love to give you the opportunity to let everyone know where they can find out more about you, and of course, more about Jiminy's.
Jiminy's is the best place to go. JIMINYS.com.
Perfect. And thank you so much. Everyone who tuned in, of course, thank you as well. Please make sure you do the usual thing, rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer, or head over to the ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes. But as usual, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ecomm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The Ecomm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the Ecomm Show.